And I wanted to make sure that I was putting my best foot forward. So I started working out and getting myself kind of prepared and getting to that zone towards the end of November and towards the end of December. And I said, we ain't gonna do it when January 1st hits, but we're gonna go ahead and prepare ourselves so when around the upper part of January hits, we about to go crazy. And also too, something else that really did it for me, in all transparency, I knew that when I was going to get these keloids removed off my face, in the back of my head, I knew that this may be the last time in which for these certain areas I'd be able to get them removed because they've already cut them off multiple times. And for y'all that may not know, when you're getting keloids cut off, oftentimes surgeons don't want to keep doing it because each and every time that it comes back and then they cut it again, that gives it more space to, it's more likely for it to come back. And so, as far as size wise, it's more likely for it to double. Like there's um, a lot more issues that can come about with the keloids. And I knew for myself, I said, you know what? I'm going to make sure that I'm locking in weight wise, and then we're going to get these keloids done. So I said, these are the last keloids in which I need to technically get. So I said, if we can do all this, then we're going to be in a position to really look and feel our best selves. And I did that. And so, I went through times as far as, relationships changing, friendships changing during this time, during even before that, um, as far as me having to go out and just learn different things about myself. Even before that, going to different events. Like I say this season, but this season has not just been in the past like 8, 9 months. Like it's been even before that. So the season for me has really been like over a year. But all during these moments is when I had to really learn more and focus more on me during these times. But at the beginning of the year is when I said I'm really going to focus on DeMarcus. And I just had to get rid of a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, even on social media, just like unfollowing a lot of people, just you constantly just see all these things that you're just attached to for some reason because of how the generations move, because of how just the world can just make it feel as you got to be attached to it. And I had to remove a lot of that. Like if something wasn't serving me, people weren't serving me. If there was a way in which God just happened to remove people out of my life or whatever, like it just happened in that type of way. And it's no bad blood, it's no type of hatefulness, no nothing like that. Because I've had to learn that DeMarcus has to do what's best for him because DeMarcus has always put himself in position to look out for everybody else. DeMarcus has always made sure everybody else was good, making sure he's going above and beyond to look out for this person for that thing, and making sure that he's calling this person first and checking in on this person. But and oftentimes it wasn't even just from the communication standpoint. It was just thinking ahead. If it's just putting myself in position to do things, I was always doing it at the cost or extent of me putting others first. And that's a language of mine that I love being able to help people and being able to be a servant and being able to just to put my best foot forward. But that's been a big thing in my life that was hurting me and hindering way more than anything else. Way more than some of the insecurities that I had when I was younger when it came to weight loss, more than me just having a late bloomer. Me constantly putting others before myself and not respecting my time and not respecting my foundation and giving so much to everybody else all the time. That was one of the toughest things that I've had to learn, and one of the things is it's still it can be a learning curve, but by me lessening it in the way that I have, it's been one of the most beautiful things that I've done for my life that I'm super proud of and I'm super thankful for. And again, I'm not going to go into like relationship stuff, friendship stuff. Like that is what it is. Like it's just for the podcast. It's just some stuff you just keep personal, right? I can go into like certain minor details, but more so for me, it's like I just like to tell people about moving forward and just keeping it real. Like I don't need to sit here and say names or sit here and go on tangents about like how somebody did, unless somebody were to go crazy and on a public forum or something like that. But it's not even worth it, because as I continue to grow and develop, I like to tell people that, hey, you're not alone. Like, there's moments in where I've messed up and done some things. Like, I'm not perfect. I can't say that I've never been in a position where I haven't treated somebody wrong. I'd be lying. But the point is to be able to tell people and show people that they're not alone. I want people to understand that for the people that do listen and the people that are tuned in, to know that you ain't the only one that has to go through a difficult season, and not saying it like in a way where like you ain't the only one that's struggling. No, you're not alone. And there's many times, especially in my journey, where I can feel I can feel alone. I want you to, whoever's listening to this, I want you to know that you're not alone, but there's going to be moments where you can feel alone. Let me say it like that. The reason being, when you have to remove a lot of things, when you're putting yourself in a position to want to grow and develop in a different type of way, there's going to be many times where you feel that you're on the journey by yourself. And that don't mean that you don't have people you can check in with. That don't mean that people's not locked in with you. That don't mean that you don't have people that's truly going to support you. But there's often going to be that time when you're headed in a different direction, where it can feel a bit cold and feel a bit lonely. And I will say, with my mindset and how I move and how I think, even with like some close friends and stuff that I have, many of them may not be on the same wavelength that I'm on. That's not to down them or anything like that. Like, we all have our different lanes. But as I told y'all before, when it comes to having like a best friend and stuff like that, that's something I've had to learn over time, that hasn't been a part of my experience. There's been times where I'll put people in that type of category, but then I would see things that they would do, or see other people that they were mingling and stuff with, and I'm just like, wow, for the person that I see you as, I can't believe that you would stoop this low. I can't believe that you would allow yourself to be in a space with somebody with lower value and allow that to overshadow you. But again, people move in the way that they want to. That's not throwing any type of shade at anybody else. But I would just see things like that and just be like, wow, even when I'm speaking to certain people or talking about the challenges in which I'm going through, even when I'm putting myself through challenges, many people couldn't relate, because and friends that I had and friends that I have and stuff like that, family members, many couldn't relate or can't relate, because oftentimes they're stuck in this bubble that's comfortable, this stagnation bubble of being around certain people, where it feels so much better to stay in this area that you're comfortable with, and in this area of this area of complacency, because moving out of it wouldn't feel right. And for me, I've been a person where I'm like, I ain't trying to be in that. Like, if I'm around certain types of people, and I don't care how cool we are, but if I'm truly not receiving the respect that I know I should receiving the respect that others are getting, or if we're having the same conversations and there's no growth, I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what type of situation you're in. Like, I trust me and I believe in me that I've got to remove myself from that. I can't be in those spaces, because there's too many people that I get a chance to connect with, and too many people that are in my life where I have those type of connections with. So oftentimes, and that's the thing as well, when you're somebody that's multifaceted, but then you move in so many different ways, and you have so many ways of being able to widen your mindset, and you have so many ways of tapping in with you, oftentimes people will just see that from a surface level. There's people that I've been around a good amount of time, where people will be like, oh, okay, like, what happened with such and such? Like, those ain't your people. I'm like, no, I just ain't seen them for a minute. Or there could be some people that those folks may not, those folks that I've been around a lot, there may be times where they haven't seen me around some other people, and they're like, oh, when y'all become cool, this person? I'm like, man, I talk to this person all the time. But when you're someone that moves in a way to where you don't just put yourself into one box, you don't just put your connections, your communication all into one box, oftentimes that shocks people, because many folks are just used to staying in that one particular box. And like I said, for family, for friends, oftentimes I've seen a good amount of folks stay there. And for some people that talk about that they have best friends, or they have like some close friends, there's a good amount of people that do it because of comfortability. And they're stuck there because removing themselves from an environment that doesn't serve them would almost make them have to look into the mirror and actually deal with life in a way that they'll be uncomfortable doing. I don't care about that. There's nobody that I feel that I can't. There's nobody that I don't feel. How can I say this? I'm not afraid to lose somebody in my life because of a friendship or whatever that they provided me. Because I know for a fact that how DeMarcus shows up, I can attest that I show up for all my people in a loving and caring way, in a way in which I want to grow. And I would tell them, like, if there's ways in which I need to grow as a friend or as an individual, let me know. If I'm doing something that, hey, that you feel that you're not liking or something that's steering you away from us being able to have conversations, you let me know. But I'm a person where I don't have a fear or nor do I care if somebody wants to remove themselves out of my life, or do I feel a a scare or anything like that because I know how I show up. And also too, I know the types of connections that I have on a consistent basis and how people have reminded me or shared about how I've showed up in their life and how people show up for me, that oftentimes people have gotten replaced. People will get replaced. And the type of energy that I've given to people and the amount of time that I've put into people, way more times than none, 90 to 95% of the time, I've shown up. Actually, probably say maybe 98% of the time, I've shown up for people way more than they have ever shown up for me. And it's not doing a tit for tat. It's not saying, again, I'm not going to keep saying this, but it's not saying I'm better than anyone, nothing like that. But the ways in which I've shown up, not many people have shown up for me in those type of ways. But that also comes with a flaw within myself at times where there's been times where I would almost have an expectation or I wouldn't understand that everybody can't show up in the way that I do. So what did I have to do, especially in a difficult season like this? Well, you take some of that away or a lot of that away and you learn to give it to the people that do show up in those type of ways. So the ones that do show up, those are the ones that have came forward more. Those are the ones where there's not even as much effort that has to be put in because it's already reciprocated. Those aren't ones where I have to question all the time about how am I showing up? How are they showing up? Why aren't we having this conversation? Why aren't we pointing to each other? The, Especially during this type of season, there's been some people, some friends that we haven't talked to. I haven't talked to a whole lot. There's been some where I've talked to a lot more than others. There's different friends and family that I have that people don't even know that I communicate with. Not that it's hiding. It's just that I just have different types of friends and different types of groups where I connect with people. There's been people that I didn't even really connect with as much before. We may have seen each other, but now we're in a space to where because we're in similar seasons, everything aligns because of all the work that they were doing as well. And for me, that's been great because now by me removing how much effort and time that I was giving to a lot of people, I'll be completely honest. It's been one of the most I can't I'll say it. It's been one of the most beautiful fucking feelings in my life because I don't feel as if I'm holding all this weight. Man, I've been able to go to the gym. I've been able to lock in with myself and not feel as if I've got to hold everybody else's weight. I've had to tell people where it's like, hey, you know what? Let's have the conversation another day. I can't do it today, or I got a little bit of time, or me prioritizing things. Hey, I got 5 to 10 minutes. Let's talk about it real quick, but I gotta go. By me creating boundaries, I've unlocked a whole different version of myself that I would never go back from. A version of myself that in the flesh, in this moment, in my spirit, within God, I know that my ancestors, guys, got to be super proud of me because I'd give so much energy to unnecessary stuff. Again, social media. I mean, within today's generation of millennial, I'm right on the cusp of millennial and Gen Z. We put so much effort into social media relationships. Why? Because we came up in that era. Who you're following, connecting with people. Like, I think a dope way to connect with people is through Instagram over phone number sometimes because if I'm in New York City where I'm meeting say if I'm meeting a bunch of different women, it may be hard for me to remember each and every conversation, even if I'm going out networking. It may be hard for me to remember each and every person. So like, on LinkedIn or get on Instagram, at least I get a chance to see their face and put it back to the name. But we're at a time to where like social media, there's different types of effects that it can have, positive and negative. But I think sometimes what it can be negative is how you interpret relationships, because oftentimes I even got people's numbers, but we communicate more on social media. Why? Because our brands are tied to that. And so it's just easy to connect because we're always on the platform versus just going back into the phone and texting. But even removing a lot of that, something that I did before, I feel like, oh man, I follow this person, they gotta follow back, vice versa. If I don't follow somebody, they're gonna feel a type of way. People's unfollowing me, like that's kind of, and then they would try to show up. For me, the only reason why it would feel a type of way at first, before in the past, some years ago, whatever, is because people would try to act as if they're interacting with you, but then when you see them, they try to act different. When you see them, they're trying to be a whole different person. If I vibe with you on social media, when I see you, I'm gonna vibe with you. Hey man, I seen all that dope stuff that you was doing. Hey Shawty, I seen, you got your business and stuff going. Like, that's dope. Like, I'm locked in, because if I'm gonna vibe with you and follow you, it's supposed to be for a social connection, for a social interaction. Why would I just follow you just to follow you? Like, and social media has gotten to a point to where, especially on Instagram, it becomes more of that, because people want to feel like they better than somebody else. I'm gonna follow a whole lot of people. I'm only following like 380 something people. Am I doing it because I'm better than somebody else, or because all the markets is trying to be look like, have celebrity level numbers? No. I just removed a lot of people that I felt was unnecessary for me to follow and wasn't going any type of way. To the point to where, by me unfollowing them, now it don't feel no different. I have less worry, less stories that I gotta see about who's doing what. It's less in my mind of me even trying to keep up with who. Hell, even at the beginning of the year, I muted everybody's story. I don't care if you were a friend, family member, whatever. Everybody's story got muted. I don't care if you were a business. Why? Because I wanted to go back to that old version of Instagram where the only thing I seen was posts. Because sometimes when you see stories, you see stuff in real time. You see stuff in such a short attention. You see stuff in such a short amount of time where it tackles into your short attention span that it can make you have instant FOMO. And I'm someone, I don't even really get FOMO like that, but there's moments where you see a 15-second story, you might be trying to find a move, and then when you see somebody's here, man, you thought about trying to go on some trips, but life been kind of crazy. But you're like, man, I got to get on that trip, hyper trip. I got to do this, I got to do that, just because you're seeing people's stories. And I said, man, we about to go a good amount of time without even tapping in to what everybody else got going on. And I'm telling you, this season and how that shaped up for me is something that's been the biggest learning experience. It's been the most positive thing that I've done for my life. So now that I'm in a space of still pushing through, still having different goals, still having a lot of things that I'm working towards, it's not easy. It's still tough. This season is one that's really, really hard. And down the line, I know that I'll be able to speak on this season and be like, and really share about what I had to go through during this time. But I want people to know that as you're going through a season in your life, and everybody goes through different types of seasons. The best way to do that, because I kind of went on a whole thing about just like, friends and all that. Really, the biggest thing is finding ways to keep yourself afloat. Locking in with yourself first, which is taking care of your physical health, your mental health. If you believe in a higher power, really getting closer and involved into your spirit. That, for what I just spoke about for 10 minutes, that's the biggest piece. Locking in with you and being able to create a better version of yourself. The second thing, which can also be a very important factor, that is really, really key, especially if you went through a layoff, if you have a lot of time to yourself, or if you're in a space where you're trying to find something or trying to find you. If you do not have a hobby, and I've talked about this in the previous episode, if you do not have a hobby, even just one hobby, you are doing a huge disservice to yourself. During this crazy season that I've been through, hobbies have saved me. Hobbies have allowed me to be in spaces with myself where I can't get into anywhere else. There's been plenty of nights where I'm just sitting here cooking up beats. I'm not trying to get no placement. I'm not trying to do nothing. I'm just cooking up because I'm vibing with myself. I may be freestyling over a beat. I may be thinking or imagining about how I can utilize my food into that. There's times where I was learning how to juggle. I need to get back to that actually. I got a Lego set that I still ain't built yet. But just thinking about stuff, I journal. I journal all the time. I'm talking about if you don't have one hobby that you can stick to over time, your life will continue to pass you by. And I would die on that hill. You got to have one hobby. One hobby. Some hobby where it takes you to a different space to where you can lock in with that for yourself and it makes you just feel like you're on top of the world. And when I'm making beats, it does that. I can create any sound that I want. I start with all these different kits that I have. I just go to where my mind leads me. There's oftentimes where I've sent beats to my cousin, he'd be like, man, this is cool, but it ain't like because I'm trying to in moments I have to catch myself, I'm trying to compare myself to what it would look like to be on a producer level. You should always want to be great and strive towards being better at the things that you do, but everything ain't meant to be on an alchemist type of level. This is not gonna happen. You gotta be real with yourself. I'm not in the studio 10 to 12 hours smoking all day where I can just be truly focused on just music. That's just not gonna happen. I may have a couple moments where I'm light one up, where I may be in the studio because I happen just to be around somebody that's making music, or I just happen to be kicking it with my cousins or something like that for 10 hours. I'm not saying I couldn't be in an environment like that, but that's not where I want to be every day. So that's just not going to be something that I want to look to perfect. But it gives me enough space and it gives me enough happiness to where I feel so comfortable and so happy when I'm doing it in the moments where I am doing it to where it brings me peace. When I'm journaling, I push myself to journal more on certain days. When I can actually, there's often, actually, for a lot of my journals entries, I haven't even looked back to see what I wrote about for the last few years, even in my phone. But as I'm writing, as I'm jotting down ideas and just talking about my life for that day, it allows me to be able to put myself in position to say, hey, this is what we did this day, this is what happened. So when I go back and reflect, I can look at those moments. Another thing, and this will be the last piece that I say, a big thing that helped me during this time, and um, it's not necessarily something I would say that's fun, but it's something that really helped me to be in alignment, is properly planning and scheduling my days. I've been doing it the last couple of years. One of my favorite planners that I previously had was the Ultra Planning planner, which the woman that does that, believe her name's Scotty. She actually changed the planners due to I think some publishing type of stuff, and that was my favorite planner, bro. I love that so much. I wish you would bring those back, but unfortunately, just because of how the product changed, I just didn't feel like I was able to get what I had previously got out of it. But super dope brand. Shout out to her, Black woman owned. But even with the planner I have now, it's pretty basic, but the biggest thing is me being able to be in alignment with my days. And so I'm not perfect with this every single day, but when I was using that planner, I told myself last year using that planner that I was going to be consistent with organizing my days. And I was very consistent. I can say I was very disciplined with that. And there was a good amount of times where I didn't follow everything on it, but the biggest thing was be making sure that I'm putting stuff on a calendar and actually planning things out to the point now where I'm actually consistently planning. Now there's been time for like a month or so, maybe a couple months where I wasn't planning and things have been off schedule. But um, when I go back into my planning bag, that's where I feel that everything aligns because I can look right now from May, maybe into April up until like I'll say early August. I wasn't on my planning like that, but in the space that I was in, I didn't really have to plan as many things, but actually, I'm lying. I did need to plan more things. When I notice when I'm not in my planner as much, it allows me to get to shift off too far away from things that I should be focusing on. And so, actually, during those moments, I was just focused on different things, and there's some other important stuff in my life that I should have put more time to focus in. Not saying that I didn't, but there's sometimes with those small tasks that you can be doing, you could easily knock out, but it's because you have all this other stuff going on with your multifaceted mind that you put it on the back burner. So for myself here, one thing that I'm proud of is yesterday, excuse me, ooh, I'm over here burping. One thing that I'm proud of is I finally went through and updated my YouTube. I finally created playlists on my YouTube. I finally updated my YouTube banner. And our YouTube is looking so cold. Like, if y'all get a chance to check out my YouTube, the multifacets of DeMarcus, the backdrop, how it looks when you come to my landing page is cold. Now it's just about getting this content out. So something I've even done recently, I've edited so much content. I've been reading the book Relentless. Like, I need to make this a whole another episode where I talk about all the dope things I've done during the season. And yeah, we'll come back to that because I'm right now I'm going on a rant, and I did not expect this to be this long, but I just got so much I want to talk about. So we're gonna stop right there. This was one just talking about the difficulties of how I've navigated and things I've kind of experienced during this type of season. But I want to explain or talk about like some of the things that I'm proud of for myself of doing outside of just continuing my hobbies and outside of continuing or pushing through with the weight loss. I didn't even really get into the weight loss as much, but and more episodes moving forward, I'll talk more about that. So it's your boy DeMarcus. Shout out to my faceteers, man. This is the life of a multifacet, and we are out of his ear. Out of his ear. Hey.